So when you're at an abode of some type, even if it's the container, even if it's the boat, even if it's the van, but it's a group, that is, you're in a group, you need to have special alert signs, or I should say doorbells, unique doorbells, which only the people in the group understand. Even if you're surviving without your mother, not even your own mother, you'd tell that sign. You only leave the call signs, or I should say the doorbell signs, between those who are immediately with you. No other soul should know it. It's just good discipline. It doesn't matter how trustworthy you are with people, you just can't be. It's that simple. That's military grade. It's not acceptable that anybody outside the group knows exactly what the rat-a-tat-tat is. And it's good form that there's only one call sign. That way, if a foreign call sign occurs first, people in the group who are in the container or who are in the boat or whatever it is immediately know something's wrong. It's similar. It's an exact principle to when somebody's trying to hack a password and username. A lot of highly sophisticated systems these days are geared toward alerting the administrator to a hacking attempt even if one wrong password or a password username combination is wrong. It's often two or three, but the point is, as soon as one wrong entry is put into a website or some system, it alerts the administrator and says, there's somebody trying to have access granted to them illegally. They're using a wrong password. It alerts it straight away. It'll come up saying there's somebody trying to get in, foreign access, foreign this, whatever, and they'll know immediately. It's the exact same principle in a container. That if you start having two or three call signs, or you start becoming uncertain and all that sort of crap, you'll muddle up everything. But if you just have one call sign, then it's pretty hard to use a brute force attack or any other type of attack to get that right the first go. So let me give you an example. That's the container. I'm not going to knock on it because I'm just going to use this as an example. Pretend this is the container I'm knocking on. Okay? I know it's the bin next to it, but this will sound louder, so to give you a better example. Just pretend I'm knocking on that, okay? Pretend I'm knocking on that container. Okay, let's call this the call sign. 2 taps, then an intermittent, or then a small break, I should say. I'm not going to say intermittent break. So 2 taps, break, 3 taps, break, 1 tap. So it'll be like this. Now, that's affected against the structure, and the person hears that, they'll be relieved. They'll know it's someone in the group. They'll be, oh fuck, somebody's trying to get in, but it's one of us, because they got it right the first go, and it's definitely the call sign. It's definitely no one else. Keep in mind that even if somebody tries to gain access, they're probably not going to try to gain access that way. They'll probably try to start opening something. So immediately you'll know that somebody's doing something wrong because they're not tapping. So even without them doing a tapping sequence, if you start hearing doors rattle and windows do this and windows do that, you'll know immediately, hold on a second. Everyone in the group knows that before they enter, they've got to tap on the door twice with a break, thrice with a break, and then once. Why is somebody trying to get in through the window? Clearly it's an invader. Clearly it's somebody trying to get illegitimate entry. So immediately you're alerted. So they're one of the big discipline measures you've got to take when it's a really, really volatile situation. We're talking about the SHTF situations. Don't you love those pop culture references? But it is true. You can call it that. The shit hits the fan situation, because that's exactly what it is. And in those types of situations, namely when you're in a group, you've got to have that discipline. There's no room for any error. You can't go, oh yeah, just tell Bob up the road that fucking this is what we're doing. Yeah, fucking You don't know who's intercepting on the airwaves. You don't know who he's going to tell. It's just bad form. I know you could say, oh, that's just all conspiracy shit, but no, you've got to be military grade. You've got to be very rigorous. Even if your favourite uncle or your mother is not in the group, they can't be told what it is because they're not in the group. If they're in the group, different story. Of course you tell them. So whoever's in the group are the only people who should know that. And it should be told to them off the waves in an isolated spot, probably in that place. Okay, this is what we're doing. Every time you leave, you don't have to make any fucking noise. You don't have to do anything. But anytime someone enters back into this fucking cunt, they must tap on the door. Even if you suspect no one's in there, do it anyway, just in case. That way, you can be alerted to something going wrong, to the incorrect entry. That's one of the best assets of being in a group, because everybody knows to mobilize in a particular way. It could be in the middle of the night, and that way, as soon as you start hearing weird shit, no, somebody's not tapping, what the fuck's going on? You know immediately. Obviously, if all of you are together and that happens, then you know you don't even need to think twice. You know somebody's trying to gain illegitimate entry for whatever reason. But a lot of the time, you'll have 1, 2, even 3 people leaving the place to get supplies or do something, and it might be you alone or just you and a mate alone. And you'll need to be certain that whoever comes back in there is not hostile, and that's how you do it. Look, I'll tap against this again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. And you can do any fucking variation. It can be fucking all sorts of shit. Just make sure it's a tap. You can do other stuff. You can clap. It just depends what noise medium you can use that people can hear inside. Tapping is generally universal. People almost always hear it, unless you're fucking behind Fort Knox or something. So be wary of that. I should say be highly aware of that facet and exercise it at every instant in a severe survival situation, an urban survival situation. And this is part of sheltering, because it's exactly what you do in group sheltering. Obviously, you don't do this by yourself, because you'd be knocking for no one. It'd be quite weird, unless you've got some fucking personality you think is in there you're speaking to. But you get my point. That's something you do when you're in a group. And that's also a massive advantage, because everybody can work with each other much more easily.